Middle Tennessee's only primetime news. This is Fox 17 News at 9, your Code Red station.
We start tonight in a Code Red weather alert. Take a look at this map. It shows the area is under advisory tomorrow for dangerously cold temperatures and the wind chill factor. Several school systems in our area making the call. They will be closed tomorrow. So let's get over to Fox 17 meteorologist Brett Luna here in studio with what we can expect. Really cold air coming in.
So cold. And you know, last night was a really cold night too. Last night, that was the first night that we've hit single digits almost a year to the date. The last time we did that was on January 21st. It's going to be another cold night tonight, just not quite as cold. But then tomorrow night, it's going to be about as cold as what we had last night. So I'll break all that down here in just a little bit. But here's what I was just talking about. The last time we hit single digits, right here in Nashville, that was on January 21st back in 2024, so January 21st last year, and we finally did it again this morning. We dropped down to 8 degrees for the overnight low temperature here in Nashville. We have cold weather advisories in effect for a lot of us. This right up here in southern Kentucky, these counties, that cold weather advisory is going to be in effect for tonight on into tomorrow morning for those areas. And then as we head down into middle Tennessee, these cold weather advisories are going to kick into effect as we head on into tomorrow. So tomorrow night into Wednesday morning. So it is just going to be cold anyway you slice it. This cold air is here to stay. I think low temperatures here in Nashville tonight should be around the low to mid teens. Some areas will drop down lower than that, especially up there in parts of southern Kentucky. Around the plateau too, it's going to go a little bit lower than that. We finally start to see that very cold air finally move on out of here. By the time we get to the later part of the week, we'll finally get temperatures going back to the 40s. So overall, the end of the week, not looking too bad. We just have to get through a few more cold days and cold nights before we get there. This is the wind chill factor for Wednesday morning, 6 a.m. And again, this is when a lot of those cold weather advisories are in effect for across middle Tennessee, up into southern Kentucky too. We have single digit wind chill factors that we'll be looking at or below zero, or right at or just above zero for a lot of these locations across middle Tennessee. Temperatures right now, they're in the teens for a lot of areas. 9 degrees though over there in Crossville, 10 degrees up in Cookeville. So it is going to be another cold night tonight. I'll let you know when we finally start to warm up a little bit better coming up here in just a bit.
Thank you, Brett. And now to more breaking news tonight, as President Trump just pardoned or commuted sentences for 1,500 people connected to the January 6th riot at the National Capitol, making good on a promise that he made during the campaign. It includes those convicted of planning and assaulting police officers. More than 700 of those already convicted saw only misdemeanor charges, and many are already out. This move would serve to restore their voting and gun rights. 300 have yet to go on trial. 140 police officers were hurt as Congress worked to certify the results of the 2020 election. Shortly after January 6th, Mr. Trump did say that those who broke the law should be punished before calling them political hostages. Well, Tennessee saw some cases connected to January 6th, including a former Williamson County deputy. Ronald Maccabee pleaded guilty to assault and impeding an officer during the Capitol breach. Eric Munchell was sentenced to 5 years in prison after his conviction. Prosecutors say the Tennessee bartender is this man carrying zip ties and a stun gun in the Senate gallery. To see more Tennesseans caught up in the J6 investigation, go to fox17.com and search Capitol riots. We continue our breaking news coverage as President Trump just signed an executive order to halt the ban of TikTok for 75 days. The president says that this will give his administration time to come up with a solution. Congress banned the social media app, calling it a threat to national security. Well, these executive orders are just some of the things happening following the inauguration of President Trump. Fox 17 News' Christine Frizzell takes a look at what we saw today. And by the way, you can vote on an issue related to Mr. Trump by scanning the QR code that will appear here shortly on your screen during the story.
It's been a day marked by bitter cold, but also celebration. Hundreds of thousands of people coming into town to witness what was no doubt a historic day, one President Donald Trump called a day of liberation. In Washington, a series of events draped in drama. The presidential parade moved inside due to frigid temperatures outside. Trump inviting family members of Israeli hostages on stage. The 47th president also proclaiming himself a rescuer of sorts, signing dozens State.
Yeas are 99. The nays are 0.
As busy as Inauguration Day was, Tuesday could be even busier. We are keeping our eye out for that mass deportation program we've heard so much about getting set to begin in big cities, especially Chicago, Illinois. We are hearing some people are excited, a whole lot of other people very nervous about what's to come. In Washington, I'm Christine Frizzau.
Well, during that story, we had a QR code linked up to this poll asking the question tonight, how do you feel about the next 4 years with Donald Trump as president? 1,043 votes have come in, and as you see the results on your screen, 84.4% say optimistic, 15.6% say they feel pessimistic. Thanks for voting.
I can't overstate how many people this will affect.
Continuing coverage as President Trump is also working to change the definition of birthright citizenship. Right now, it means a person born in the country is an American, and that is clearly spelled out in the Constitution. Fox 17 News' Karen Aguilar joining us here in studio after speaking with a legal expert and a supporter who says something has to change after a record number of border crossings.
Megan, birthright citizenship has been around since the 1800s and has given millions of people the right to be citizens. But not everybody agrees with the current definition.
I, Donald John Trump, do solemnly swear.
On day one of becoming president, Donald Trump tackles the influx of migrants who have come into the U.S. unlawfully.
So now the work begins.
One of the promises he made on the campaign trail was to end birthright citizenship for children of undocumented immigrants. Alan King is the legal director of the Tennessee Immigrant and Refugee Rights Coalition, or TIRC.
It is very settled that it is not constitutional. That really is what the 14th Amendment promised.
The 14th Amendment's clause reads, quote, all persons born or naturalized in the United States and subject to the jurisdiction thereof are citizens of the United States and of the state wherein they reside, end quote. This section came to pass after the Civil War, giving formerly enslaved people citizenship. Steve Gill is the former director of intergovernmental affairs for the Bush and Clinton administration. He claims the clause was never meant for undocumented immigrants' children.
It was intended to provide citizenship for those who were enslaved or who were African Americans and were not entitled to full citizenship under the law at that time.
Gill and Trump advisors say the Constitution has been misinterpreted.
Well, it's really only been interpreted this way for about 40 years.
But historians say the Supreme Court ruled in 1898 the clause of the 14th Amendment applies to anyone born in the United States. And it's been that way for more than a century. King says he expects there to be legal battles.
It's Donald Trump, the president, against the U.S. Constitution. The goal is to sow fear, it's to create division.
Gill says the goal is to stop those who are coming into the country illegally from doing so.
King says children born in the U.S. soil is a constitutional right that will face difficulty being overturned. It's still unclear what the exact plans are for carrying out Trump's plan. We reached out to Trump's press team and have not heard back yet. Reporting live in studio, Karen Aguilar, Fox 17 News, your Code Red station.
And we want to know what you think. Do you agree with the plan to end birthright citizenship for children of undocumented immigrants? The numbers here on your screen. Over 1,000 people voting on this. 75.5% of voters say yes, 24.5% say no. Still time to weigh in and cast your vote. This poll is live right now. You can scan the QR code that we'll put up on the screen, or you can find it by going to our X page. Our handle is @Fox Nashville, and we will show you updated poll results here in real time a little later in the newscast.
You've heard a lot about veteran suicide, 18 a day in 2024. But there's a whole separate tragic event for the family left behind. That's what we're looking at next.
This Fox 17 News Code Red Alert is sponsored by Sarah Chevrolet Buick GMC Cadillac. Your Files is sponsored by Bart Durham Injury Law. Well, veteran suicides are a national tragedy, and what happens to the families left behind is a second tragedy. Tonight, you'll meet a family currently homeless following the loss of their head of the household. Here's Dennis Ferrier with tonight's Ferrier Files.
It's easy to look at a veteran suicide as a single event, a tragic decision to end your own life. But that's not the whole story. There's an aftermath, a fallout, a separate tragic event for the family left behind.
Yeah, sweet baby.
It's a tight squeeze for the Lessman family. A mom, a son, a daughter, and 2 dogs in a motel room. But the alternative is so much worse, and even this is barely doable.
Well, I got a job. After we lost everything, we got out of the rental that we were in. We came here, and we started selling all of our stuff that we could sell. We're trying to pull it together. I got a job. My son got a job. He's sticking with it. We're both sticking with it because we know this is it for us. If we don't do this, we're going to be in our car.
The Lessmans got in this awful situation in the most awful way. Crystal's husband, Army vet Adam Lessman, killed himself in their home while Crystal was at the grocery store.
My son was like, "Where's Dad at?" And I was like, "I don't know." And he opened the door to the garage, and my son screamed. And he saw my husband. He had hung himself with an extension cord from the top of the ceiling of the garage. My daughter held his head in her hands and was crying. And a neighbor came over, and him and my older son swapped doing CPR until everybody got there. It seemed like forever though, but he was gone. And
that day, February 25th, 2023, started a dark spiral for the Lessmans.
my son, my youngest son, has debilitating anxiety and depression and PTSD. Sometimes he can't even get up out of bed. And myself, I've been in the ER 5 times with my heart. I thought I was having a heart attack. And they said it was, panic attacks, broken heart syndromes. We lost everything, obviously, after going through all of our stuff. Money ran out. We weren't able to get it together.
No one could work.
Nobody could work.
So the Lessmans slowly lost everything, winding up here, where Crystal has now rediscovered her heart. She has a job now. Her son Kyle has a job. They have organized a food pantry. They even put up a tree for Christmas. There is a small light growing.
We call ourselves the Three Musketeers because that's all we have is each other. So every day, one of us tells the other one, we're going to get through it. Every day is going to get better. We're going to be okay. We're going to do this.
They are living day to day and spending more on the hotel they would on an apartment. It is a tightrope while they are looking for the help their beloved Adam never asked for.
I just really need help just trying to get into something. We don't want a lot of charity, millions of dollars. We're not trying to get all that. We just need help getting into a home and getting our feet on the ground. That's all we need.
The Three Musketeers, remember them? One for all and all for one. If you'd like to help the Lessmans, we are putting their GoFundMe on our website. They really need to get out of that hotel room and into an apartment. I'm Dennis Ferrier, Fox 17 News, your Code Red station.
Fox 17 News Ferrier Files is sponsored by Bart Durham Injury Law.
And we are starting things out in a code red weather alert again tonight, and this is just going to be for some more very, very cold air that is basically just locked in place. It's not going to get quite as cold here in Nashville as what we had yesterday. If you were watching right when the show kicked off, we had 8 degrees overnight here in Nashville, so we dropped down to the single digits. Tonight, I think we're going to stay in the double digits, at least in Nashville. We're going to see those temperatures in the low to mid teens. Up here in southern Kentucky, though, a little bit different. All of these counties highlighted in blue in southern Kentucky, those cold weather advisories are going to be in effect from tonight through a lot of tomorrow morning on into tomorrow afternoon for some of these counties that are a little bit further to the west. All of these cold weather advisories here in Middle Tennessee, those are going to be in effect for tomorrow night through through Wednesday at 9 a.m. We're going to get another round of very cold air that settles down with temperatures dropping back down to the single digits overnight Tuesday night into early Wednesday morning. Here's our current temperature map. If you've been outside lately, you know how cold it is. 9 degrees right now in Crossville. It's 18 here in Nashville, 14 in Clarksville, 15 the current temperature up there in Hopkinsville. And even with just a little bit of wind out there, it's going to make that cold air feel even colder. 4 degrees is what it feels like here in we're in McMinnville. Feels like 10 degrees right now in Nashville, and 13 is what it feels like up in Clarksville. So tonight's going to be another very cold night. That Arctic air is just still setting right over us across Tennessee and Kentucky, and really a lot of the country seeing this frigid air. We're going to see winter storm warnings. I'll show you that here in a little bit, all along the Gulf Coast. So pretty interesting, not something you see every day by any means. 9 degrees, the high temperature here, or the low temperature, waking up early Wednesday morning in Nashville. We finally start to go back up a little bit better. We're finally back into the lower 20s, waking up Thursday morning, and then we should get to the mid 30s as we head towards Sunday morning. Want to show you the wind chill map though as we go into early Wednesday morning. This is for 6 a.m. Wednesday. We'll be looking at below zero temperatures up here in parts of southern Kentucky. Everybody in single digits. It could feel like it's 4 degrees here in Nashville. It'll feel like it is 1 early Wednesday morning in Clarksville. If you're heading out tomorrow morning, we're going to start things out in the teens, and it's not going to get a whole lot better as we head through the rest of the day. We might be able to make it to the mid and upper 20s across Middle Tennessee and southern Kentucky. Current radar not showing anything for us right now. It's all dry across Tennessee and Kentucky. Down south of here, though, you see all those pink and purple boxes. Those are winter storm warnings and winter weather advisories. Some areas down there along the Gulf Coast could get several inches of snowfall before this is all over with. So that is pretty crazy what's going on down there right now. You can see we have some snow flurries just back to the west of the Mississippi River. We may see a few flurries flying here tonight into early tomorrow morning. There is not going to be any accumulation with that though. You might just see some of those flurries flying in the sky. So we're going to stay dry as we head through the rest of tonight. Tomorrow morning, this is Tuesday morning, 7 a.m. It's all dry for us here in Tennessee and Kentucky. All of the action is going to be staying to the south of us. We'll stay dry as we go throughout the rest of the day, and then moving on into Wednesday, we started out dry, we stay dry, we should be staying dry through most of this upcoming week before we start to increase our rain chance for the later part of the weekend. I'll show you that coming up here in a little bit in your Code Red forecast.
Well, not as simple as it sounds. The little things keeping you from properly heating your home during this cold winter blast. And a holiday designed to unify, the call to set aside our differences. New tonight, a message of hope in the mid-state as people come together to honor the legacy of Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. The Wilson County NAACP organized a unity march in Lebanon. This is all for Martin Luther King Jr. Day. The march went through the heart of the city, honoring the late civil rights leader's message.
It didn't matter what race, what creed, what color, what background. Everybody was here representing the community as a whole.
Organizers in Nashville also held a march today starting on historic Jefferson Street. This is the 40th year of Nashville's march. You can see pictures and video. We've put them all together in a gallery for you on fox17.com. Well, with this week's Arctic blast, it can be hard to keep your house warm. The Nashville Electric Service sharing some advice on how to do just that and keep your bill in check. The agency says first, you will pay more thanks to the demand. And when it comes to your thermostat, be prepared to compromise.
So some things that we ask people to do is to watch their thermostat, set it as cool as they're comfortable with. 68 degrees is the recommended temperature. Anything cooler than that saves you even more.
NES workers also say to keep your curtains open during the day so the sunlight can help heat up your home. Once the sun does go down, though, do the opposite. Close the curtains and blinds to keep the heat in and the cold out. Still to come, history made. What sets this presidential inauguration apart from all the others? And targeted by crooks while serving the community, the frustration tonight for firefighters. President Trump officially in office for a second term, inaugurated this morning inside the Capitol. Joining us now is veteran political analyst Linda Schatt. Linda, this inauguration a very historic one, as Mr. Trump is only the second president now to serve a non-consecutive term. So let's talk about the historical significance today. First of all, the weather moving the event indoors.
It actually is a very majestic room, the rotunda, to do the inauguration in, and I think we saw that today. I think something else that was not different that Americans can be thankful for is that we had a peaceful transfer of power. It's something that is the marvel of the world, and we saw the president-elect and the president ride to the Capitol Capitol together. We saw all of the living former presidents there. And so I think it's important for us to have this one day, perhaps, of bipartisanship. I think the interesting thing, something very different, is that we saw President Trump yet again break the mold. And I would argue that he didn't have one inaugural address, but that he had an ongoing address in 3 different settings. The first one was the official one. It was less American carnage from his last inaugural and had more hope in it. He looked to the future. He said America is entering a golden age. He talked about a revolution of common sense. And I thought it was really interesting that he referenced things that reminded me of Reagan's Challenger speech, where he talked about Americans always pursuing new frontiers. And he promised to plant the stars and stripes on Mars. But he also promised to keep his campaign promises, to reduce prices, to close the border. And he assumed a mandate. And what was really interesting to me is he assumed not only a political mandate, but there was a real overlay of a divine mandate in this inauguration.
Some other notable absences: Michelle Obama was not there. Karen Pence also not there. What kind of message do you think that sends?
I think whether or not first ladies or second ladies attend is less important than something like whether or not the presidents attend, or in the case of 4 years ago, whether or not President Trump chose to attend President Biden's inaugural. So I don't think America should read a lot into that. I think the most important thing is the other presidents who were there and the tone of President Trump's first part of his inaugural. That second piece, he then turned more to the past and said to the group that was assembled in the overflow room that he was going to say all the things they wouldn't let him say in his inaugural. So that was typical Donald Trump, and I think something that people have come to expect.
All right, a historic day for sure. Linda Schatt, thank you so much for your time tonight.
Sure, thank you.
They're there 24 hours, and they're not there all the time, and so there's not somebody watching every truck, every car in the area.
Now to Operation Crime and Justice. Firefighters are coming back from service calls to find that their personal vehicles have been broken into by thieves. Fox 17 News' Madeline Nolan explains that Metro says funding for increased security is on the way, but the question tonight is how long they'll have to wait.
Temporary measures like installing these portable blue light cameras in parking lots are just one way to steer off those thieves. But these first responders are fed up because they want more action after promises of protection were made with no exact timeline in sight. Shattered glass litters the parking lots of Station 9 downtown and Station 33 in Antioch, both hit by thieves in the past few days.
None of our first responders make the money they need to make anyway, and to take away from them is something that I cannot accept.
Former Metro Nashville Fire Chief Buck Dozier is outraged by the continued car break-ins, all while these first responders are out saving lives and helping the community.
If you're a thief, there's a possibility you can get hurt, shot, or whatever yourself, doing what you shouldn't be doing. And I guess who's going to be there to take care of them if those kind of things happen to them.
A firefighter who would like to stay anonymous reached out to Fox 17 asking for help, telling us that these break-ins are so bad that firefighters are leaving their cars unlocked with signs saying no guns or valuables inside. The same firefighter says that those break-ins have been going on for more than a year, and almost all of the 40 stations in Nashville have been hit at least once.
It's certainly something we're going to continue to work on. Public safety is a big pillar of the work that I'm doing this year. I know that Mayor O'Connell and the council are working on it as well.
Metro Councilmember Jacob Coupin says the council just recently passed the capital spending plan, allocating $23 million for renovations as well as safety improvements. But it's early in the process, and according to Kendra Loney with Nashville Fire, it is unknown at what those safety initiatives entail. Members of the Metro Police Department believe that juveniles are behind some of these car break-ins. Councilman Coupin does want to invest more in community outreach programs to end this cycle. In Nashville, I'm Madeline Nolan, Fox 17 News, your Code Red station.
And we are still in Code Red for tonight and tomorrow, too. Really, it's going to be tomorrow night into Wednesday. That's the main reason. But some of our counties in southern Kentucky tonight do have a cold weather advisory in effect again. We hit single digits here in Nashville last night. I think we're going to be about the low to mid-teens here in Nashville tonight. Some areas will go a little bit lower than that, though. High temperatures tomorrow only in the mid-20s, going with 26 for our high temperature here in Nashville. Average high this time of year is 49, so we're still going to keep it well below normal for this time of year. So here's what I'm talking about, the cold weather advisory map. All these counties highlighted in that shade of turquoise color in southern Kentucky, those cold weather advisories, those are in effect for tonight into tomorrow morning. And then all of these down here in Middle Tennessee, these cold weather advisories are going to be in place from 6 p.m. Tuesday until 9 a.m. on Wednesday, all of those here in Tennessee. A warm-up is coming, though. We just have to wait a few more days for it. Thursday, we should have temperatures going to the lower 40s. We'll stay in the lower 40s on Friday. Saturday's probably going to be our warmest day. We may even hit 50 on Saturday. And then as we head into the end of the week, on into early next week, we'll have temperatures drop back down, but only a little bit, only down to the mid-40s. As far as any sort of precip chance goes, we're going to keep it all dry for this work week. And then on Sunday, that rain chance does start to bump up a little bit. We could see a few flurries as we head on into tonight, into tomorrow morning. Not expecting any accumulation with that, though. However, with this really cold air, some schools have decided to go ahead and cancel some of these schools for tomorrow. And I think we're going to show you how to get there right here. So if you go to our website, fox17.com, right up here, you'll see this Fox 17 Code Red Weather tab. Just hover over that with your mouse. And then right here in this third column, this is going to be all the way down at the bottom of the page. You'll click on school closings right there. And when you click on that, you'll just let it load. And then you'll start to scroll up the screen. And then these are going to be a list of all the schools that are closed for tomorrow. So if you don't know about your school yet, we'll have it up on our website that you can go and check out for yourself.
Well, getting the stage set for the conference championship, the favorites to move on to Super Bowl 59.
It all comes down to this, the final college football game of this season. We have finally made it through the brand new 12-team playoff format, and now all that's left is to crown a champion. 8th-seeded Ohio State Buckeyes taking on the 7th-seeded Notre Dame Fighting Irish tonight. Irish scored on their opening drive, but since then, it's been all Buckeyes the rest of the way. Ohio State up 31-15 with less than 10 minutes left in the game. Buckeyes scored on their first 5 possessions of the game, including 2 big touchdowns by running back Quinshon Judkins. I'll have much more on this big game tonight at 10. As for the NFL, we are now full speed ahead to Conference Championship weekend. Buffalo Bills moving on to the AFC Championship game after a nail-biter against Lamar Jackson and the Ravens yesterday. Ravens tight end Mark Andrews dropped a crucial 2-point conversion that would have tied the game, but Bills able to hold on for the 2-point win. They will face the Kansas City Chiefs once again in the AFC Championship game on Sunday. As for the NFC Championship, the Philadelphia Eagles beat the LA Rams and the Commanders pulled off the upset over the Detroit Lions Saturday night. You might have watched that one right here on Fox 17. So now the Commanders will face the Eagles next Sunday. And guess what? You can watch that one right here on Fox 17. And you know what else you can watch on Fox 17? Oh yes, Super Bowl 59. It's right around the corner. The big game set to take place in the Superdome in New Orleans Saturday, February 9th. And of course, we will get you ready for that one leading all the way up to that 5:30 kickoff on Fox 17. Jill Jolnick, Fox 17 Sports, your Code Red station.
And it's going to be another cold night for us tonight again for tomorrow night, too. 2 very cold nights in a row. We're going to finally get a warm-up later on this week. I'll let you know when it arrives and how warm we get here in just a bit.
And unearthing serious crime on the dark web. Spotlight on America exposing the scariest parts of the internet. And not as common as it used to be, the call for those who can read cursive. Well, Well, you may have heard of the dark web, but do you know what it really is? Tonight, in Spotlight on America, Fox 17 News' Angie Moreski shows you this underground marketplace often used by criminals.
It's a place people go to buy and sell illegal goods and services.
A buffet for fraudsters. It's a flea market of stolen merchandise.
From drugs to illegal weapons, tools for fraud, and worse.
This is right on the dark web.
Haywood Telcove is the CEO of LexisNexis Risk Solutions Government, which helps federal, state, and local governments fight cyber fraud and crime, especially against children.
Some of the most heartbreaking things that you see are the sale of children. They're sold like you would sell a piece of furniture.
That's outrageous.
It happens every single day in this country. This is the real person.
And Telcove showed us what he calls the biggest threat on the dark web today when it comes to financial fraud.
Use of generative AI deepfake tools is changing the landscape of fraud. That is an AI-generated image.
He points to the sale of generative AI tools like this.
This individual right here is from Nigeria.
That create a fake look.
What the technology has done has changed him from being Nigerian to what looks like an American man.
To make it easier to carry out fraud.
Love you, love you. Love you, love you.
Like romance scams, or as fraudsters call it, pig butchering.
You pretend to be somebody's friend, you get them to trust you, and then you start stealing money from them. So you fatten up a pig, and then you butcher it.
Stolen, personally identifiable information is also rampant on the dark web.
These are fake passports that are being produced.
Used to create and sell fake IDs.
Imagine what you could do with a fake U.S. passport. You could open up a bank account. You could apply for public benefits.
Complete with tutorial videos showing scammers how to rip off government programs.
It shows you how to get Medicaid. It shows you how to get TANF or SNAP or WIC or some other government benefit.
Unlike the regular internet that has websites indexed and tracks where you go, this anonymous network keeps many from being identified by encrypting their location and movements with a special browser you have to download to access it.
The dark web has provided a level of anonymity that makes it very difficult to catch them.
What is the biggest obstacle that law enforcement faces in fighting fraud on the dark web?
It's just so massive. They could spend 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. Nobody can possibly keep up with it.
And if this made you curious to explore the dark web on your own, Telcove highly recommends you don't.
It's a dangerous place filled with serious criminals who are monetizing horrible behavior.
For Spotlight on America, I'm Angie Moreski.
Well, last night was a really cold day here across Middle Tennessee and Southern Kentucky. In Nashville, we dropped down to 8 degrees. That was our low temperature overnight last night. So it was a very cold night for us last night. And tonight's going to be a little bit better, but it's still just going to be really cold. And that's why we have some of these cold weather advisories up for parts of our viewing area. These, the furthest north ones, all these up here in Southern Kentucky, those are going to be in effect for tonight through tomorrow. So it's going to be very cold there again. We could have wind chill values dropping below 0 for some of those areas through the overnight hours tonight. All of these winter cold weather advisories across parts of Middle Tennessee. So all these counties that are highlighted in that shade of blue, those are going to be in place from 6 p.m. Tuesday evening to 9 a.m. Wednesday morning. We could have wind chill values as low as 0 in some of those areas. So a very cold next couple of nights for us, even though tonight is going to be a little bit warmer than what we had last night. Still very cold though. Single digits in Crossville, 9 degrees over there in Crossville. I think Crossville's low temperature this morning was 1 degree. We were at 8 earlier this morning in Nashville. We're now down to 18 from the high of I think 23 earlier this afternoon. 14 in Clarksville. That's the current temperature up there. So it's cold right now. Factor even in just a a little bit of wind, and it makes it feel like it's all single digits near the plateau. 4 in Tullahoma, 8 in Murfreesboro is what it feels like, and it feels like it's 10 right now here in Nashville. That cold air is not going to be going anywhere for the next day or two, and then we finally are going to start to get a break into that once we hit the later part of the week. But these next couple of days and nights are going to be very, very chilly. We'll be waking up with low temperatures in the single digits early Wednesday morning, and then as we go to the later part of the week, it gradually starts to get a little bit better for us. By Sunday morning, I think we should get temperatures back into the mid-30s waking up on Sunday morning. Feels like temperatures for Wednesday morning. This is 6 a.m. Wednesday morning. We'll be talking about single digits for most of these areas, so it could feel like 1 in Crossville, feel like 0 in Gallatin, 1 in Clarksville, -1 in Hopkinsville. Very, very cold for you. For your morning forecast, if you're heading out tomorrow morning, we should be off to a chilly start. It would sound like a broken record, but this is the big story for us as we head through these next couple of days. We'll be in the teens to keep on through the morning hours, and then by 9 a.m., I think we're finally into the lower 20s. We're going to start it out pretty cloudy, and then some of that cloud cover will begin to clear on up as we head through the rest of the day. Radar still not showing any activity for us right here in Tennessee or Kentucky, all dry. We do have some snow, some light snow showers that are back west of the Mississippi River. We could get a few snow flurries flying here across Middle Tennessee late tonight on into tomorrow morning. No accumulation with any of that though. Don't be surprised if you see a few flurries flying in the sky. What's really interesting, this is pretty crazy even, way down here along the Gulf Coast, we have winter storm warnings in effect for basically all the way from as far south in Texas as you can go, all the way across into parts of north of Florida. So a very interesting setup that we have going on. Some of those areas could even get a few or even several inches of snowfall. Very cold for the next few days, but then we're back to the lower 40s Thursday and Friday. Saturday we're at 50, and then we bring in a better chance for some showers by Sunday and Monday.
Today we honor Martin Luther King Jr. I'm Janae Bowens, and I had a chance to speak with King's niece and how his message is inspiring Americans today.
Well, new tonight, celebrating the life and legacy of civil rights leader Martin Luther King Jr. Fox 17 News' Janae Bowens speaking with King's niece and has a special reflection.
I had the chance to speak on the phone with Dr. Alvita King on what would have been her uncle's 96th birthday.
With this being the inauguration of the President of the United States, as well as Martin Luther King Jr.'s birthday celebration, it's a double time to look up and have hope.
Dr. Alvita King is filled with hope, often getting inspiration from the powerful words of her famous uncle, Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. Her favorite quote:
"When we truly believe in the sacredness of human personality, we won't exploit people. Right. We won't trample over people with iron feet of oppression. We won't kill anybody."
I love that. And so when you hear me say life from the womb to the tomb and beyond, it needs to be an excellent quality of life for every human being that God creates.
Dr. Martin Luther King Jr.'s efforts led to the passing of several laws, including the Civil Rights Act of 1964, which ended segregation in public places and banned discrimination based on race, color, religion, sex, or national origin. He received the Nobel Peace Prize for his nonviolent struggle for civil rights. So much progress has been made, and there's still room for even more.
I've been discriminated against many times in my lifetime, and it still goes on. But there again, I don't lose hope. I always take heart. I have faith, hope, and love, repentance, and forgiveness. I don't give up. And so discrimination still exists. Racism exists because people think we're separate races. We're one race, the human race. He would say we must learn to live together as brothers, and I'll add as sisters, and not perish together as fools.
Today, Dr. Alvita King is feeding people in need in honor of her uncle. I'm Janae Bowens reporting.
Well, help wanted. Do you possess this archaic skill? How you can help preserve history using a skill set they no longer teach in school. Check this out. The National Archives looking for volunteers who know how to correctly read cursive handwriting styles. The archive says it has 300 million documents in its catalog. About 5,000 volunteers currently assist reading them, but the archives need even more. Documents contain items going back 200 years and records run from the Revolutionary War to the 1950 census. The archives say that there is no application. All you need to do is sign up online.